Welcome back, everybody, to another deep dive. This time we are taking a look at this book by Dr. Joe Dispenza, You Are the Placebo, Making Your Mind Matter. You heard this?
Yeah, I've heard of it.
So placebo effect, pretty interesting stuff, right?
It is really fascinating.
So basically a placebo is a fake treatment.
Yeah.
Like a sugar pill.
Yeah.
But somehow it can trigger real changes in the body.
Yeah, that's the wild part.
How does that even work?
I think that the idea that Dr. Dispenza is putting forward is that the placebo effect is really just a window into how powerful our minds are. Like, if you think about it, if a sugar pill can have a real impact, just imagine what our thoughts and beliefs can do.
I mean, that's kind of a scary thought, too.
Right?
Because, like, if our minds are that powerful for good, are they also that powerful for bad?
That's right. Yeah, and he actually starts the book with a really interesting story about a man named Sam Lond who was misdiagnosed with terminal esophageal cancer.
Oh, wow.
And his health just completely deteriorated. But when he died, the autopsy showed no signs of cancer.
Oh, my.
It was like he died from the belief that he was dying.
That's both incredible and terrifying at the same time.
It is.
But, okay, so if belief can make you sicker, can it also make you better?
That's the question. And there's some evidence that suggests it can. There's a story about a woman named Schoenfeld who was part of a study for an antidepressant, and she got significantly better. But it turned out she was on the placebo.
No.
And what's even more interesting is that her brain scans actually showed changes in activity.
So, like, it wasn't just all in her head. There were actual physical changes.
Exactly. There was a measurable difference. And another story that really stood out was about a man named Mr. Wright who had cancer. And he believed that he was getting this groundbreaking new drug, and his tumors actually started shrinking.
Really?
But then news broke that the drug had failed trials and his tumors started growing again.
Wow.
It was like his belief was keeping him in remission.
It's almost like the power of positive thinking.
Yeah.
But like on a whole other level. So how does this work?
Yeah.
How does this belief, this expectation actually play out in our bodies?
Well, Dr. Dispenza talks a lot about conditioning and how our past experiences can shape how we respond to things. Like, for example, if you've ever had a bad experience with public speaking.
Oh, yeah.
You know, that just the thought of it can trigger all those anxious feelings again.
Oh, absolutely. Stage fright.
Yeah, it's like our body remembers that experience and reacts even if the situation is different.
Okay, so that makes sense.
Yeah.
But if we're basically conditioned to react in certain ways, how do we break free from that?
That's a great question, and one that we'll be diving deeper into in the next part. But I'll give you a little preview. Dr. Dispenza talks about the importance of awareness and choice.
Right.
Like, we have the power to choose how we respond to our experiences.
I like that.
And to create new patterns of thought and behavior.
Okay, I'm really interested to hear more about this. So we're talking about the power of belief, the impact of conditioning, and the potential for change through awareness. This is some really thought-provoking stuff.
It is, and we've only just scratched the surface.
Okay, well, I'm hooked. Let's take a quick break and we'll come back and explore this further.
Sounds good.
All right, we'll be right back.
Welcome back. So last time we talked about how powerful our beliefs and perceptions can be. And I think the big question is, how can we use this knowledge to create positive change in our lives?
Yeah, like how do we go from being at the mercy of our thoughts and feelings to actually mastering them?
Right. So Dr. Dispenza talks about this idea of becoming our own placebo. Like, if we can understand how the placebo effect works, we can start to consciously use it to our advantage.
Okay, I like where this is going.
Yeah.
But how do we do that? Like, what's the first step?
Well, it starts with understanding the quantum model, which is basically the idea that reality isn't this fixed thing, but rather a field of possibilities that we can actually influence.
Okay, now you're going to have to break that down for me.
Yeah.
Because that sounds pretty out there.
I know it sounds a little woo-woo.
Yeah.
But think about it like this. You know how an atom is mostly empty space, right? But within that space, there's all this potential energy.
Yeah, I vaguely remember that from high school science class.
Right. So if we're made up of energy too, does that mean we also have this incredible potential for change?
Okay, I'm starting to see where you're going with this. So if we're all this untapped energy, how do we actually tap into it?
That's where meditation comes in.
Ah, yes. Meditation. Dr. Dispenza talks a lot about meditation as a tool for harnessing the placebo effect.
Exactly, because when we meditate, we're essentially training our minds to move beyond the analytical mind. You know, that part of us that's always replaying old memories and reinforcing limiting beliefs.
Oh, I know that part all too well.
Yeah.
It's like a constant loop of negative thoughts.
Exactly. So meditation helps us to quiet that mental chatter and access a deeper level of awareness where we're not bound by our past conditioning.
So it's like hitting the reset button, creating space for new possibilities to emerge.
Exactly. And in that space, we become more receptive to the quantum field, that field of infinite potential. It's like we're tuning into a radio station that's broadcasting all these different realities, and we get to choose which one we want to experience.
Okay, that's a pretty powerful image. Mm-hmm. But how do we actually choose a different reality through meditation? Like, what are we supposed to be doing?
Well, Dr. Dispenza outlines a 3-part meditation process, and the first part is all about disconnecting from the old self. You know, that identity that's based on all our past experiences and limiting beliefs.
So does that mean we have to deny or suppress those thoughts and feelings?
Not at all. It's more about becoming aware of them without judgment, like just observing them as they come and go.
Yeah.
And by practicing this detachment, we free up all this energy that was stuck in those old patterns.
Okay, that makes sense.
Oh.
It's like we're decluttering our mental and emotional space. So it's the next part.
The second part is all about immersing ourselves in the present moment.
Oh, the present moment. Easier said than done, right?
It is. It definitely takes practice.
Okay.
But it's the key to accessing that field of infinite possibility. Because when we're fully present, we're no longer dwelling on the past or worrying about the future. We're just here now.
Okay, so how do we actually do that? Like, how do we quiet the mind and be in the now?
Well, one of the simplest and most effective ways is to focus on your breath. It's your anchor to the present moment. And when you pay attention to the sensation of each inhale and each exhale, you're drawn into that stillness and silence within.
I can see how that can be really powerful. Okay, so we've disconnected from the old selves. We're present in the now. What's the third part?
The third part is where the magic happens. It's where we start to consciously choose thoughts, feelings, and beliefs that are aligned with the reality we want to create.
So it's like we're planting seeds in the fertile ground of the present moment.
Exactly. But just like planting seeds, it takes time and effort for them to grow. Dr. Dispenza talks about the importance of feeling gratitude for the desired outcome as if it's already happened.
So we're not just hoping for it, but actually feeling the joy as if it's already a reality.
Exactly. And that sends a powerful signal to the universe that you're ready to receive what you're asking for. You move from a state of lack to a state of abundance and receptivity.
This is also fascinating. But I have to ask, what about those of us who are struggling to let go of old beliefs? Or who are even unsure what we want to create?
That's totally normal. It's a process, a journey of self-discovery. And Dr. Dispenza emphasizes that it's not about achieving some perfect state of enlightenment, but about showing up, practicing these techniques, and trusting your own unique path.
That's actually really reassuring. So it's about being kind to ourselves and acknowledging that change takes time, effort.
Exactly. And remember, we're all in this together. We're all on this journey of exploring our own potential.
Okay, so we've talked about the theory. Now I'm really curious to hear about the practical application. Like, are there examples of people who have used these techniques to actually achieve remarkable transformations?
Absolutely. And that's what we'll be diving into next.
Okay, so we've talked about the power of belief and how meditation can help us tap into the quantum field. But now I'm really curious to hear about some real-life examples. Like, are there actually people who have used these techniques to make significant changes in their lives?
Oh, absolutely. Dr. Dispenza shares some pretty amazing stories in the book about people who have healed themselves from all sorts of conditions.
Really? Like, what kind of conditions are we talking about?
Well, there's one story about a woman named Lori who had this degenerative bone disease called polyostotic fibrous dysplasia.
Okay, I'm not familiar with that one. What is that exactly?
Basically, her bones were being replaced by fibrous tissue, which led to a lot of pain, weakness, and even fractures.
Oh, wow. That sounds incredibly painful.
It was, and the doctors told her there was no cure.
Oh, my gosh. So what did she do?
Well, Lori had attended some of Dr. Dispenza's workshops, so she knew about the power of the mind to heal the body. And she decided that she was going to create a new reality for herself.
So did she just, like, visualize herself as being healthy?
It was more than just visualization. She completely immersed herself in the feeling of being healed. Like, during her meditations, she would focus intensely on gratitude for the healthy bones that she knew she would have.
Wow, so she wasn't just thinking it, she was feeling it.
Exactly. She even changed the way she walked. Like, she started moving with the confidence of someone whose bones were strong and pain-free.
That's amazing. So what happened?
After months of this dedicated practice, she went back to the doctor, and her bone density had significantly improved.
Are you serious?
Yeah, there was no medical explanation for it. It was like Her mind had actually healed her body.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
It's like the placebo effect in action.
Exactly. And there's another story about a woman named Candace who was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis.
Oh, wow, MS. That's a really serious condition.
It is. She was dealing with fatigue, muscle weakness, difficulty walking, all sorts of challenging symptoms.
And there's no known cure for MS, right?
Right. But Candace, like Lori, decided to take her healing into her own hands.
So what did she do?
She started meditating regularly, visualizing her nervous system as healthy and vibrant, and she really focused on cultivating feelings of joy, gratitude, peace.
So she was intentionally creating a positive internal environment.
Exactly. And over time, her symptoms started to improve. She regained strength and mobility, and eventually she was able to walk without assistance.
Wow. Her doctors must have been amazed.
They were. And these are just two examples. Dr. Dispenza shares many more stories about people who have used these techniques to overcome all sorts of challenges.
This is so inspiring. It really makes you realize that we have so much more power over our health and well-being than we think.
Absolutely. And it goes beyond just physical healing. Dr. Dispenza talks about people overcoming addiction, improving their relationships, achieving greater success in their careers. It's really about tapping into our full potential.
So it's like we all have this untapped superpower within us.
Exactly.
But is this something that anyone can do? Are some people just more susceptible to the placebo effect than others?
That's a good question. And while there's no definitive answer, Dr. Dispenza does suggest that certain qualities can enhance our ability to tap into this power.
Okay. Like what?
Well, belief is key. The more we believe in the possibility of change, the more likely it is to occur.
So it's not just about blind faith, but about informed belief.
Exactly. And that belief can be strengthened through knowledge. The more we understand about how the mind-body connection works, the more empowered we feel.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
What else is important?
Commitment. This isn't a quick fix. It's about consistently showing up for ourselves, practicing these techniques, and nurturing the seeds of change.
So it's like forming a new habit.
Yeah.
A habit of consciously aligning our thoughts, feelings, and actions with the reality we want to create.
Exactly. And like any habit, it takes time and effort to establish. But with persistence, it can become second nature.
This has been such an eye-opening conversation about the placebo effect. We've learned that our beliefs, our environment, even our perception of reality can have a profound impact on our lives.
It's really quite amazing when you think about it.
It is. And the takeaway here is that we are not powerless. We have the ability to heal, to transform, to create the life we desire.
We are the placebo.
And on that note, I want to thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive into the incredible world of a placebo effect. And to our listeners, if your body is constantly responding to your mind, what reality are you currently choosing with your thoughts, feelings, and beliefs?